Thank you for joining us on this segment. In this segment, we're going to talk about a key component of any paving stone system, which is a proper edge restraint. We're going to hit on some topics today. We're going to talk about what types of edge restraints are out there. We're going to talk about a 5-point paving system. We're also going to take a look at some examples of some edgings that might not have gone so well. We're going to do some live demos today also of some newer types of edging. We're going to discuss base options also and which edging options work perfect for each base. So let's just dive right on into our segment today, which is edging. So Tom, why edging?
Great question, Tim. Why edging? It's very simple. When a properly installed edge restraint surrounds your patio or sidewalk, it's going to lock in that pavement. So what is it going to do? It's going to keep that pavement from separating. It's a very key point. It falls into number 4 in our 5-point system, so you really need to pay attention to when you're installing your edging. Now, what types do we have? We have some metal edging, we have some fiber reinforced edging, we have some manufactured edging, and we're going to go over a couple of those today right here in our 3D demos. So, properly installed edging is going to give your project the capabilities of standing the test of time.
So before we go any further, I think we should address what that 5-point system is for paving stones. And it's really simple. Number 1 is a properly compacted base. Number 2 is our bedding layer, whether it's sand or whether it's going to be a loose aggregate. Number 3 is our paving stones. And number 4, which is our topic today, is an edge restraint. And of course, number 5, which ties it in, is the jointing material. When all 5 of these components are installed properly, your patio, walkway, any paving stone install should last, as we say, the test of time. So let's take a look at a couple of examples that we want to bring up to really talk about some of the failures that might have happened with an improper edge restraint. So let's take a look.
We have 3 examples here. And our first example, you can see tipping outward and also separation. Remember, we discussed properly installed edging is going to prevent this. Example number 2, we can see tipping outward and a large separation. This pavement is moving largely away from the body of the work, and that can cause some trip hazards with that large break in the pavement. And example number 3, we can see all of what was in number 1 and number 2, and also in addition to that, you can see the plastic manufactured edging is exposing itself above the pavement.
Correct. And when you look at those, Tom, and I, as a salesman, I go to these jobs and sometimes I go there for an issue that someone doesn't like in their patio. And the first thing we want to blame is when we do see an edge pop up is we blame the edging itself. But again, we're talking about a 5-point system. If something else fails, it's really maybe something else that's below the edging that's causing that failure. So we blame the edging quite a bit, and it's easy to say, well, the plastic edging is moving or this or that. But I think we might have more of a bigger issue when we look at picture number 2. I think what we really have might be a base issue.
You know, that's a great point. Without blaming the edging all the time, we do have to look at the big picture. In all 3 of these pictures, we can see tipping outward, and that's normally a key indicator that the base has not been extended out 6 to 8 inches past the edge of your pavement. So that's something that really has to be addressed before you start blaming the poor edging on a bad install.
All right, so while we're talking about base, let's just show you what we have here in our 3D diagram as in front of us. We have 2 different type of base options. I'm going to talk about the one that's in front of me today, which is a 3/4 modified base, compacted, usually around 6 to 8 inches, depending on what part of the country that you're in. So a compacted base. And then as you see here, we have our bedding sand, which is a concrete sand. Normal, been around for many years when we're doing paving stone installs. And this is a 100% certified way to install paving stones. But as you really see, as Tom was talking about, we have done the over dig, and we have filled this in to give ourselves a stable platform. Again, we're doing a proper base. Example, I always tell contractors, if you're doing a 4-foot walkway, you're going to dig out 5 feet. That way you have at least 6 inches on each side, which gives you a stable platform. And we do that because if you're riding a lawnmower over it, if vehicular traffic is involved, when you get the pressures on this side of the paving stone, you'll start to get that tipping if you don't have this extra overdig. So you're going to have your base, your bedding course, your edging, and your paving stone all locked in together. Tom, what type of base do you have?
My high performance base starts out by placing drive grid in between the layer between sub base and base. I have 3/4 crushed angular gravel, and I follow that up with our 1-inch setting bed, which is a 1/4 inch chipstone. This base is catching on very rapidly with a lot of the contractors out there, and guys are really gravitating to this type of base.
Correct. So that brings us to the point where we talk about edging. Edging could be like what I have here is a plastic manufactured edging. Tom's going to talk about a concrete reinforced. Both of these edgings can be used on either or base. The big question though lately has come up is, will the plastic edging really work with our high performance base? And we're going to address that concern when Tom does his live demo. But let's just talk about the proper install for manufactured edging, because it does make a lot of difference in how you install this to making that project that you have, what we say, be bulletproof. So let's just start out with how we do a proper install for plastic edging. One thing we really need to make sure of is that we take away our bedding layer from our paving stones. We have our paving stones installed, we have our bedding layer, and we still have our base down here. Most importantly thing is, always remember, the edging never goes on top of the bedding course. It always gets scraped away, just like we're going to do here. And as you see, this is like what you would do in a field. Now you can use a sand plow, you can use a shovel, whatever you have to pull this sand away. You want to bring that down as far as you can until you start to see that base aggregate get exposed. All right, so you're going to, in your install, you're going to do exactly what I'm doing here, pulling that away, and enough to have enough room. So here I need just a little bit more, so I'm just going to pull this away a little bit more. And again, in the field, you have your personal touch on how to do it, and make sure your spacing is correct. Put that over here, and then we have our edging. One thing very important to take a look at is once this edging is down onto your compacted base, you see how far it goes up onto the paver. You don't want it to be this close, you don't want to have it too low, but basically a 1/2 inch from the bottom of the paver is 100% perfect. Now that we have that properly installed, now we have to secure that. And we're going to secure that with our 10-inch non-galvanized spike. No matter whether it's spiral, like I have here, or smooth, the most important thing is you want to make sure that it's non-galvanized. The rusting properties of this will actually tack into your base or your soil and will actually give that grip into the soil. So as we start out, we're going to take the manufactured hole that they give you in the edging, and right here we're going to just tap that right in. And we're going to have that go all the way down into the bottom of the pave edge. All right. Now, what we also want to show you is there's a right way and a wrong way for doing the height for doing the spike edge down into the ground. I have 3 examples here in front of me. 2 of them are wrong and 1 of them is right. And this is one thing that I do stress to my contractors out there when you're installing manufactured plastic edging, is there's definitely the right way and a wrong way. So out of these 3 examples here, I'm going to take this first one here, and I'm actually going to drive this one into the ground, and it's low, and as you see, it's resting right on top of that plastic collar. And if you see on this example here, you see that you have movement, okay? And what that movement is doing is it's actually opening up the ground every time you hit that 10-inch spike, and it's opening up that cavity. When this spike goes to rust, it's got nothing to grab onto. So this will be able to come out very quickly and very easily, and it will not be able to rust properly and lock right into the ground. Then we also have this one that's over here, which is, you see, you've nailed it down. Someone has probably told you that you can probably just not hit it all the way down to the collar, but you can see where it's raised up a lot. The problem with this, you're going to be able to give your edging a place to ride up on. The most proper way to install a spike for proper edging is right here. You're going to nail it down, and you don't want to nail it right into the collar. You want to come up about 1/4 of an inch like you see here, and that is a proper edge install. That way the spike will rust, this will lock in place, and remember, you're going to be taking some soil or some other edging material on top of here, and that'll lock everything in place for doing that. That is the proper way to do a manufactured plastic edging like that we have here. We're going to dive into something on another base that Tom's going to talk about, and it's going to be our concrete reinforced fiber edging.
Great demo, Tim. On my side, I'm going to be showing how to install some fiber reinforced concrete. This is a new school method of an old school technique. A lot of guys are still using concrete as their edge. However, their recipes are super top secret. What the manufacturers have done now is they have reinforced the concrete with fiber. So what we're going to do is we're going to take away our setting bed, just like Tim did with his sand. Now you can see our base is starting to expose itself, so we want to go just a wee bit more. And if you look closely, you can see where some of the chip is falling out from underneath the pavers. Perfectly acceptable. As a matter of fact, we encourage you to take even a little bit more out, because we really want to get a nice toe underneath those pavers. Okay, so let's get our fiber reinforced concrete out. I'm gonna scoop it right out, just like you do in the field. Maybe you'd use your shovel, get your 4-inch trowel ready again. And we're gonna really make sure we get that nice toe in. We want to come up about a 1/2 inch on our pavers. And maybe some of you guys are wondering what the mix is, the water ratio. So that's a pretty neat idea these guys have done, is they've taken all the guesswork out of mixing. So whichever manufacturer you do choose for your fiber reinforced concrete, please follow their instructions. They may be a little bit different from manufacturer to manufacturer. Okay, so we're gonna come up about a 1/2 inch on our paver. We're gonna be at about a 40-degree angle. And there you have it. Another nice thing about the fiber reinforced concrete is we can compact our pavers for final compaction immediately after finishing up doing all the edging. You can also final sand and compact the same day.
Excellent. Nice stuff that's out there. Whether we're using the fiber reinforced concrete edging, we're using a manufactured edging like I have the plastic here in front of me. We all know that number 4 in our 5-point system is an edge restraint. But none of our edge restraints will work as long as we maybe make a mistake on one of the other 5 points. As we talked about earlier, the base is the 100% most important thing on any install. Proper compacted base, but what we need to talk about is the overextending it. The next part is not putting the edge restraint on top of any type of bedding course. As we showed before, scrape away. With the concrete reinforced fiber edging, we want to basically make sure we can toe that in. If you follow all these instructions on that 5-point system that we have, your paving stone project should last the test of time, or what we call bulletproof. So if you have any questions or would like to know more about Unilock and Unilock products, we have our utechonline.com. Take a look at some more videos that we have online, and thank you very much.